Will the Senate please come to order? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Aquino, Senator Awa,
Here.
Senator Chang, Senator DeCoit,
Here.
Senator Dela Cruz, Senator Elefante,
Here.
Senator Favela, Senator Fukunaga, Senator Gabbard, Senator Ihara,
Present.
Senator Inoue,
Present.
Senator Kanuha, Senator Keith Agaran, Senator Keoho Kalole, Senator Kidani, Senator Kim, Senator Lee, Senator McKelvey,
Aye.
Senator Moriwaki, Senator Rhodes, Senator Richards,
Here.
Senator San Buenaventura, Senator Shimabukuro, Senator Wakai. Mr. President,
Present.
all 25 members are present.
Thank you. The chair has read the journal of the preceding day and approves the same. Are there any introductions this evening? Senator Inoue.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is certainly my pleasure to introduce a long-lost friend of mine who lived on the Big Island, and Mel Malinowski, please rise. And he is from Washington State as well as part-time in Thailand. He lived at the Mauna Loa resorts, and we're so happy to see him. We are deeply sorry that he did lose his wife before he left our state, but he has been a good citizen in the last 20-something years on the Big Island and has contributed a lot in working with Mauna Lani and its land areas and the turtles and the coral reefs as well, and he's been a big contributor, but it's so nice to have you back in Hawaii. Enjoy your stay, and thank you for visiting us today. Thank you, Mr. President.
Any further introductions? If not, Madam Clerk, oh, Senator Lee.
Sorry, thank you, Mr. President. Very briefly, I can't see everybody who's up there, but I believe joining us in the gallery this evening is a nominee to the State Foundation of Culture and Arts, Mr. Randall Fujiki, and possibly a nominee to the State Highway Safety Council, Ms. Tiffany Lightfoot. Oh, there you are. Welcome to the Senate.
Senator Inoue.
Thank you, Mr. President. Since we're introducing those in the galley who are members of our GM and on our agenda
So
today.
because Senator Lee improperly introduced
sorry.
his
Thank
guest,
you.
you're going to now go rogue with him instead of following. Chris, Senator Lee, I hope you realize what you're starting here. Madam Clerk.
Governor's message numbers 13 and 14 notify the legislature that various collective bargaining unit agreements have been ratified, and Governor's message number 1129 informs the legislature that the governor signed House Bill 426, House Draft 1 into law as Act 28.
File.
On pages 2 through 5, House Communication numbers 870 to 874 inform the Senate that the House has reconsidered its action in disagreeing to the amendments made by the Senate to various House bills. And on pages 5 through 9, House Communication numbers 875 to 888 inform the Senate that the House has appointed or made changes to conferee assignments for various bills.
File.
On pages 9 through 12, Conference Committee Report numbers 2 through 18 for 48-hour notice.
So ordered.
On pages 12 to 14, Standing Committee Report numbers 2005 to 2012 for one-day notice.
So ordered.
On pages 15 to 19, Advise and Consent.
If there are no objections from the members, we will be taking advice and consent on consent.
Standing Committee Report numbers 1989 to 2003 on Governor's messages for adoption.
Is there any discussion? Senator Elefante,
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support with reservations.
please identify.
Yes, please note my aye with reservations for the following GMs: 538, 543, 544, 539, and 540. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? If not, do we have unanimous consent? Any reservations besides those noted by Senator Elefante? Any no votes?
25 ayes.
Thank you. The nominees for, well, With the reservations, it's unanimous, so all of the nominees are approved and they have been confirmed. Yes, Senator Inoue.
Thank you, Mr. President. May I introduce a late introduction? I'm sorry, Mr. President.
Please proceed.
And members of, I'd like to introduce the GM 539, Joshua Lanikila Manguel, as one of the 8 members appointed to the Mauna Kea Stewardship Oversight Authority, who's seated in the gallery. Thank you for coming to visit us today. Congratulations.
Madam Clerk?
On page 19, adoption of resolutions, Standing Committee Report Number 2004 on House Concurrent Resolution 96 for adoption.
And I was remiss for Mr. Fujiki and the Safety Council. You were both approved in that motion, and this is when Senator Lee should have stood up to introduce you. And in congratulations after the vote was taken, but you were also confirmed, so congratulations to you. Senator Wakai.
Mr. President, I move for the adoption of Standing Committee Reports number 2004.
Senator Decoit.
I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Any objections? If not, the motion is carried. Said resolution has been adopted.
On page 20, final reading.
If there are no objections from the members, we'll be taking final reading on consent.
Conference Committee Report Number 1, final reading of Senate Bill 228, Conference Draft 1 relating to fraud.
Is there any discussion? If not, do we have unanimous consent? Any reservations? Any no votes?
25 ayes.
Thank you. SB 228 CD1 passes final reading.
Referrals and re-referrals.
Referrals and re-referrals are made in accordance with the supplemental orders of the day that may be filed later today.
Beginning on page 20, miscellaneous business, reconsideration of disagreement to House amendments and motions to agree. Senate Concurrent Resolution Numbers 35, House Draft 1, 91, House Draft 1, 104, House Draft 1, and 179, House Draft 1.
Senator Wakai.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate reconsider its previous action in disagreeing to the amendments made by the House to Senate Concurrent Resolution 35, SCR 91 SD1, SCR 104 SD1, and SCR 179, and agree to said amendments.
Senator Decoit.
I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Senator Wakai.
Mr. President, if you could allow me to briefly explain the rationale for these 4 resolutions. On Senate Concurrent Resolution 35, this is to request the Hawaii County Department of Water Supply to convene a working group to address water access and infrastructure for underserved communities on Hawaii Island. The House amended the measure to invite Native Hawaiian cultural practitioners and members of the Native Hawaiian community to participate. On Senate Concurrent Resolution 91, it requests the governor to convene a task force related to procedures of the state building code, and the House added 2 additional representatives to the task force and requests they also review educational programs on the impact of building code changes. On Senate Concurrent Resolution 104, this urges Congress to pass the Hawaiian Homelands Preservation Act to lower the required minimum blood quantum to certain DHHL successor lessee beneficiaries from a quarter Native Hawaiian blood to 1/32. The House amended the resolution to incorporate clarifying suggestions from DHHL. Lastly, on Senate Concurrent Resolution 179, this urges Congress to consider the benefits and risks of AI technologies. The House version simply added technical amendments. I ask my colleagues to please join me in agreeing to these amendments to these Senate Concurrent Resolutions.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion is carried. 1-day notice is hereby given for final adoption of said resolutions.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 100, House Draft 1.
Senator Lee.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to introduce some guests in the gallery today.
You know, these younger members run way faster than we do.
I move that the Senate reconsider its previous action in disagreeing to the amendments made by the House to SCR 100 and agree to said amendments.
Senator Wakai.
Mr. President, I second that
It's
motion.
been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Senator Lee.
Thank you, Mr. President. The amendments made by the House were technical in nature and non-substantive.
Thank you. Any further discussions? Any objections? Hearing none, motion is carried. One-day notice is hereby given for final adoption of SCR 100 HD1.
No further business, Mr. President.
Are there any announcements today? If not, the chair has two. Senator Favela.
I'm not as quick as Senator Lee. Sorry about that. Anyway, my announcement is, I know you guys see them. I know we're going to be busy tomorrow, but if you guys can make it, we have the Aloha Aina film featuring the generations of special guests going to be Lanakila. Raise your hand. Thank you. If you guys not doing nothing, going to be at the auditorium at 3 o'clock. Check in. If you guys never seen Hawaiian Soul and the making of like a Mighty Wave, the documentary of Mauna Kea and the move of why Mauna Kea had happened, and then Standing Above the Clouds. A few women that made this documentary is about unifying and showing strength in unity. But if you guys don't know about Hawaiian Soul, it's the John George Helm Jr.'s documentary. If you guys didn't see this documentary, you guys need to see it because it's very touching and emotional. I got the privilege to see it with Senator Ocasio in a little tiny fish pond area during COVID, and it was a beautiful show, and I filmed and I said I wanted to bring it here, so we have an opportunity to see it. If you guys can make it, appreciate it. If not, thank you, Senate President.
Thank you. Further announcements? Again, if not, the chair has two. The Speaker of the House and I approved a request to extend conference deliberations for the executive budget bill, House Bill 300, past 9 p.m. on Tuesday, April 25th. The clerk is directed to place a copy of the approved request in the Senate Journal, and the decking deadline for all non-fiscal bills in conference is 11:30 p.m. tonight. Senator Wakai.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate stand in recess, leaving the journal open until midnight for the receipt of conference committee reports recommending passage on final reading. And I further move that the Senate reconvene tomorrow at 6:30 p.m.
Senator Decoit.
I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. If there are no objections from the members, the Senate will stand in recess, leaving the journal open until midnight, and will reconvene at 6:30 p.m. tomorrow.